Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today, and normally with my videos I like to have a script in front of me or at least some bullet points at the minimum, but this time, man, I just need to speak from the heart because Apeiron's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic has been shut down. Now, we've had a lot of new viewers coming in because of the Fallout 76 content, so if you are new here and you don't know anything about me as a gamer, let me tell you one thing, you're gonna hear it a lot. I adore Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's absolutely my favorite game of all time. I am admittedly a complete fanboy of the KOTOR series. It has helped me immensely throughout life as a game to always return to and just completely enjoy, unapologetically so. It's what shaped me as a gamer. It's what got me into RPGs. It was the first game I ever truly fell in love with and said, that's it, I love video games. The game's just done so much for me. I very much appreciate this entertainment product. So suffice to say that when Poem Studios sat down and said, hey, let's remake Apeiron's Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, as a fan of the franchise, I was geeking out from the very beginning back in 2016 up until now, where we were on a pace for a while making weekly videos about this incredible looking remake, whether it was character reveals or just menus. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I made a 12-minute video, I think, analyzing all the inventory changes they made. I was crazy about what this team was doing. There was so much passion behind it. There was so much excitement about it. And let me speak for a second from a content creator standpoint, because I make videos every single day except Saturdays. I like to take weekends off. So pretty much anytime I'm sitting down to make a video, I make sure it's something I care about, something I'm invested in, because that's how you don't burn yourself out as a content creator. And then when you have those special games like a Fallout, or also in my case, like a KOTOR, where you're making content and you're gaining an audience off of that game you adore oh so much, and people are sharing those stories with you and having that same excitement as you, there is nothing more rewarding as someone who makes videos than to see a community surround you like that and to get collectively excited for something off of sheer passion. Now, before I carry on any further, this is the reality of the situation. As we can see with the tweet here from Poem Studios, it's with great sadness I'm posting this today. I recently received a letter from Lucasfilm instructing Poem to end production on Apeiron after a few days. I've exhausted my options to keep it afloat. We knew this day was a possibility. I'm sorry, and may the force be with you. Yes, just like Poem Studios has announced here, we all knew this was a possibility. Now, a lot of us, myself included, completely guilty on this, thought that there was a chance Poem Studios could dance around it because they were claiming it was a mod, and so it seemed like a lot of the legal hurdles had been accounted for and that they were very much aware of what was going on, the way they presented themselves. I had a feeling maybe they had already communicated with Lucasfilms, but like I said, man, this is very much the reality of the situation. I've worked with modders plenty of times in the past as someone who's primarily a Bethesda content creator. Along with a bunch of other YouTubers, I was a big part of promoting the Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 mod, and the same thing happened there because they were remaking an old game using assets and so on. Pretty much there was no way of working around it, and that mod had got shut down. Same things happening here. I mean, man, even going to get the gameplay for this video was sad. I love going to play KOTOR, but knowing the reasoning behind it right now, that was just something that kind of hit home, because like I said, I've been supporting this bad boy since the very beginning. So to see it come all these years and then get shut down, I mean, there was so much time for that. But at the end of the day, like I said, this is the reality of the situation. This stuff is always bound to happen when you get invested in a mod like this. It's not an original creation like we'll say, for example, Fallout the Frontier or Fallout Miami. And it also puts into perspective Bethesda's modding situation, where it's very rare we see a mod actually get shut down from Bethesda when it comes to the standalone experiences. When it comes to remaking old games, that has always been a pretty gray line in the terms of legality. And I'm not trying to turn it into something positive for Bethesda, but more so, it gives you that perspective, as I mentioned. It's about, oh wow, okay, at least we have something like that. But nothing will ever top a KOTOR remake. And what's always most frustrating about when we see these mods or these remakes from fans get shut down is that the license sits there regardless of the fact. They're like, yeah, don't make a free thing out of this because we're gonna leave it here and do nothing with it. I mean, imagine the gaming success story, the good PR move, and not only that, but the excitement that would generate and the attention that would be gathered from Lucasfilms or EA reaching out and saying, hey, we love what you're doing and we want to get in on this. How about we collaborate? We'll give you a little studio. I know this is much easier said than done, by the way, and we'll get this project really funded and finished and make sure that you guys can work a full-time job doing this. You already got some of the product done and so on. Imagine that. Imagine the reaction from gamers. Imagine a reaction from the industry if that's what happened. But time after time with these fan remakes, it's always cease and desist, shut it down, move on. It never existed, and companies never do anything with that part of the license. It's ultimately frustrating, more so than anything, because the Star Wars license in gaming is so dead, it's unbelievable. We've gotten 2 Battlefront games in the past handful of years. It's just a really sad state. When you look at like the early 2000s to roughly, I'd say 2009, where you had a mixed bag of random games coming out, whether it was actually KOTOR or Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. There was Empire at War. You also had The Force Unleashed. You had so many different takes on the Star Wars license, a willingness to experiment, to try to find an audience. And of course, Battlefront had came out around that time too. I mean, there was so much good stuff coming out because companies were excited to work with Star Wars, and Star Wars was excited to continuously make a name for itself. But now we literally have EA owning the license. We have 2 Battlefront games, and I still stand by the fact that I enjoyed Battlefront 2 for what it was, but those microtransactions, I don't need to reiterate how disgusting they were. And this is a license that you expected upon EA getting it. Everyone had said, oh yeah, they're gonna gut this thing, man. There's gonna be so many Star Wars games. Imagine our surprise when we're sitting here and EA is halfway through their license. They acquired it in 2013, and we only have 2 Star Wars games from them. Now, I'm a little bit optimistic for Respawn's Star Wars game. That's kind of the hope here, because not that Battlefront has been awful, it's either been shallow or ruined by EA. So I just want that Star Wars RPG. I want something to be excited about when it comes to Star Wars, especially in gaming, man. I'm glad Star Wars made a return, and in such a strong fashion where it's such a popular brand. It's not like it ever really lost popularity, but it kind of wavered a little bit over time, and it's had a big resurgence. So I would love to see that type of era of gaming for Star Wars come back. I know it was a lot easier to make games back then. There's a higher demand in quality today compared to back then. Not that we didn't want quality products back then, but I think a lot of shortcomings were more willing to be accepted than when we look at video games today. But anyway, back to Poem Studios. I want to start off by thanking them so much for what they did. Even if the job wasn't done, they really sparked people like myself into why they loved games, why they were so excited to game every day, and in my case as a career, why I'm excited to talk about video games every single day, and why I always want to get inside the conversation. And it's because of amazing people like the ones at Poem Studios who work hard to create content that they are equally as passionate, if not more, about. And then it's just this circle of life where we're all feeding off each other in a positive manner. And if anything, it showed that there is a demand out there, a popular demand for a KOTOR remake. That certainly the games industry would be very pumped if that were to ever actually happen. Never do we want to hear that a mod's been shut down, but I think it softens the blow a little bit if in exchange we do hear the announcement of some type of KOTOR remake. There had been rumors many times in the past about how there was a KOTOR remake, then it got put on ice, and then it might have been revived, and now who the hell knows what's going on with that. Are they just rebooting the whole series, remaking it, or are they starting fresh with a brand new series, kind of in the vein of KOTOR? I honestly don't know, man, but I would just love to see a Star Wars RPG, and of course, the return of KOTOR. The thing is KOTOR is accessible in pretty much every way, shape, and form. It's backwards compatible, it's on PC, it's on phones, it's on tablets. It just needs that remake, that fresh coat of paint, the enhanced edition, something along those lines, just to satiate fans like myself and so many others. I mean, we all know that if you slap a Star Wars license on anything, it's gonna sell like hotcakes. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Hopefully you understand, because I did clarify at the beginning of the video that there's no script. This is all from the heart, just talking with raw passion and some sadness here, because I absolutely loved what this studio was doing. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you guys feel about the mod and how the situation was handled? I can't say I'm surprised isn't the right word. I'm more so just upset about it, you know? It's not something that I saw and was like, oh my God, this really happened. Like I said, we all know this is always a chance, but it doesn't make it any easier to accept. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and do consider supporting my Patreon as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.